All right, Dolphin fans, how in the hell is everybody doing on this fantastic Monday, the 18th? Yeah, exactly. Trey has got it exactly. 2 and 0. 2 and 0. Not 2 0, not 2 but 2 and 0.
It works.
Exactly. Either way, either way. So how you doing this morning, Trey? We I don't want to talk about how I'm doing cuz I'm about ready to play. If I die on camera, Kyle's instruction. Kyle's instructions are to upload it anyway. So I'm sick as a dog. How you
It's
doing this morning?
it's always a good morning after a W. It's
Yeah.
always a good morning after a New England W. So that was a nice strut into the gym this morning. Nice little pep in the step.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not have even needed music in the workout. I wasn't going to test that theory, but I might not have even needed it. But no, it was a good win.
Yeah. And that reminds me of back in, but when I was single. So this would have been 92, 93, 94. Um, what I
That's real
would
professional,
do.
Trey.
What's that?
I was stretching on camera, so that's real professional, Trey.
That's okay. So back then, what I would do was I would go to the gym and I would get on the elliptical and watch the whole Dolphin game on the elliptical. So I the whole the whole 3 hours, man. It was hey, you
Sometimes
got
you're
to
going like
multitask.
this.
Yeah,
Sometimes you're going like this,
yeah,
depending on how the
yeah,
game's going.
exactly. But it helped keep me calm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It helped me. So last night's game, I kind of felt like it was almost two games. There was the first 3 quarters, and then there was the fourth quarter. And just goes to show you how much I know or I don't know because I told McDaniel to run the ball so that our defense wouldn't get gassed. And he did, and then they got gassed in the fourth quarter anyway. So not going to worry about it though. Belichick, we've seen this a million times before where you have a good first half and then Belichick finds a way to slow you down and everything in the second half. But what'd you think of though? How would you grade Tua's performance last night? And keep in mind that if you say anything negative, you will get destroyed by at least half of the fan base.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm gonna get destroyed by the other half if I say he did good. So I'll give him a nice C to
And I
upset everybody. No, I probably give to either a B or a B minus on the
okay,
game.
yeah,
Some of those hanging curve balls were there again in his pitch count. One of them got picked off.
right,
You know, there's no other way around that. Did he underthrow that ball? Yes. Was it a bad throw? Yeah. Was it a bad decision? Yeah. But see, that's the thing. One play happens,
yeah,
right? He did underthrow it. It was picked off, but
yeah,
one throw out of however many,
right.
and that part of the fan base will run with like, see, that's what I
See,
told you. He doesn't
yeah,
have an arm, and he was having to come back on it. It's like, okay,
right,
people need to understand how fast Tyreek Hill is. Go ahead and go watch his Kansas City tape, and that's Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. And
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
Tyreek was coming back. It's not about the
yeah,
quarterback's arm, it's about how fast that guy is.
right. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the decision to throw it up
Mm-hmm.
because he was under pressure and he couldn't step into the ball really, which is why I think it was short. The throw I wasn't a fan of was the one to Waddle, where Waddle had beaten the corner, and all Tua had to do was lead him, and that one was short as well. But you're nitpicking. It's. I mean, he's making some other throws. I mean, the one throw to Barrios that got us down to like the 3 or 4 yard line. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's and I. It's what I said in my video last week when I said it's not Tua hate. Is that I because he makes some insane throws when he makes the ones that are off, you're like, damn it, you want to see him make every throw. But for the most part, I thought he played pretty well. His pocket presence. which is
Mhm.
something that I have forever heard can't be taught, that you either have it or you don't. Well, it apparently can be taught, because that indecisive Tua where, he would, am I going to run? Am I going to throw? And then he'd get clobbered. That guy is gone.
You know
And
why?
I'm listening.
Yeah, you know exactly why. It's because he got into martial arts.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, there you go.
Because he got into martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of a sudden, he has extra senses. All of a sudden, he has eyes around his head. All of a sudden, he can feel things that aren't actually touching him.
That's a really good point.
That's
Yeah.
all from rolling.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought, I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right.
That's why I got excited when you started saying it. That's when I started leaning in here. I'm like, yep, keep going.
Yeah. No, and that is a I wouldn't say it's an unintended consequence. It's just nobody brought it up in that way. And it's interesting. I should have thought about that, because that's why I started judo when I was a kid, because I was in second grade, third grade, and my behavior was just all over the place because I was bored as hell at school. And somebody recommended, hey, get him into judo with my parents, and boom, I was able to focus. I was able to focus in on my task at hand. It's a really good point. I hadn't even thought about it that way. So yeah, so that guy is gone, and it's been replaced with a guy that will step up into the pocket and rip the ball down the field 30 yards on a dart. And it helps that, I mean, let's be honest, and this is not a knock on Tua, but our receiver core is ridiculous. I mean, in terms of the depth that these guys have, I mean, between Waddle and Tyreek and Berrios and Craycraft, and then you've got Izukoma. I mean, I would challenge anybody to find a better five, as a group, and especially, speed wise. And then you throw in the running back position.
I'll say you didn't even say Mostert. We're talking about the speed.
Yeah. No, it's a freaking track team out there. But the key to it all, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and this is without Teron Armstead, we've allowed 1 sack in 2 games. On the road, by the way.
Yeah,
and
who is this Miami O-line? Because it's all the same guys.
Well, if you want to refamiliarize yourself with the O-line, just watch the play from the Charger game where Eichenberg was on the field. Right. And then you're like, oh!
We did not have an Eichenberg sighting last night, did we?
Not last night, no. And that's actually, I talked about this, that's my concern with Armstead. Is not so much that we don't have him at left tackle, but with Armstead out, Eichenberg's the first guy off the bench.
Very big possibility that he makes it onto the field.
Right.
Although someone's going to say now, they're going to say, oh, well, the game he showed up in, no sacks given up. The game he didn't show up in, there's a sack given up. I don't care.
Well, he was in for one play. He was in for one play against the Chargers. Yeah.
You know who's the Liam Eichenberg of the defense?
Oh, let me see if I can. Oh, you're going to go with Eli Apple.
Oh, it's the same exact feeling, isn't it?
It is.
Disaster's about to happen with this guy out here. Is he about to give up a big play, or is he about to commit a penalty? Which one is it?
Right. That's true.
Like
that's true.
Those are the guy on each side of the ball. That's the guy that just makes my sphincter. Oh no, what's about to happen here?
We really need Nick Needham back, because I liked Nick Needham, and I don't know how much longer. I mean, he was injured last year, and I don't know what his exact timeline is yet, but we definitely need him back. It's funny. I said this in the recap last night. I said when we signed Eli Apple, people were like, he's not going to play. Don't worry. He's just depth. And he's out there. He's out there playing. Look, it could be worse. He could. I mean, he's holding his own, but you see the problems.
I'll give him credit. He did make one good play. And I actually didn't realize it was him until the announcer said that it was him. Right after Tua threw the pick. And the very first play where they threw a screen pass to the side and dude blew the hell up. That was Eli Apple.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was the very first play after the pick. And I saw that. I was like, ooh. And they're like, and the announcer's like, oh, what a hit by Eli Apple. I was like, wait, what? Who made that play?
Did you lose my camera too?
Yeah, you're kind of still the end of an episode on a 90s sitcom.
Please pause for station identification. I'm going to unplug it and plug it back in.
Alrighty.
All right.
But yeah,
Well,
so
keep talking. I'll fix this.
right. So, but then he went right back to being the Eli Apple that we all know and loathe. And he had the one play. He had one play that he looked really good, and maybe we just have him for one play, and that'll be it. But he gives me those same exact feelings.
Yeah.
That Liam Eichenberg gives me.
Yep.
So now we have it on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But look, a win is a win is a win, and the best part about what the situation we're in right now is we legit really only have 5 more road games the rest of the year. Because this was the year that we had 9 home, 8 away, and one of those away is the Kansas City game in Germany, which is neutral. So we legit only have 5 more road trips, and none of them are to our division opponents in the snow.
You know what I noticed when looking at the schedule was they kind of made both of us put our nukes away, us being Miami and Buffalo, because you don't want to play in Miami in September. And you don't want to play in Buffalo in January.
Yeah.
So, okay, October 1st in Buffalo and January in Miami. It's like,
all right. You know who? But you know who's coming to town 1 o'clock in September next week? The possibly the worst possible team to come to that weather, the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to come down off the mountain to that soup bowl of humidity, and if there's one game on the schedule that has the possibility of getting ugly in our favor, that's it, because those dudes are probably going to be melted butter by the second half.
Hey, they're going to be going right through Russell Wilson. I don't see how they're going to hold up. If we just, if we don't do it, but if we go at the end of the Chargers game where we just reverted back to zone blitzing, just do that from the beginning of this game just because of the personnel that the Broncos have, and just unload on Russ, and that'd be that, and get a blowout like you said.
There is one possible way. There is one possible thing that could cause us to have trouble in that game. And his name is Connor Williams.
You know, it's funny. So Kyle had said previously, right, in the Charger game, oh, well, no, I think that's Connor snapping the ball low. Like, he was blaming Connor off the bat.
Yeah.
You were blaming Tua off the bat. Even I was blaming Tua. And usually I'm the guy defending Tua, but I'm like, nah, I mean, Tua needs to get the ball. But Kyle was proven right last night.
Yes.
Those were low snaps. And the one that really pissed me off, combination of Connor and the turf field.
Yeah.
But when Tua had to make a move to get the ball to begin with, he was already in a precarious position, and he lets himself go. But that was also because of the way his leg planted in the turf. And said it in the chat, Jaws, but you know how much it would cost the NFL to convert the remaining fields to natural grass?
How much?
$12 million. Which
I can write a lot of money
now. To us, but that's $7.50 in old white money.
Yeah.
And I mean $7.50.
Yes.
But cut that $12 million real quick, and I don't see why they don't want to do that as owners. Why are you having your best players get hurt? And I'm not saying every single time it's because of turf field, but a lot of times it's because of turf field.
Yeah.
So why have that? Why? These are your investments, right? As owners, you're putting $250 million into these quarterbacks. Quite literally, protect your investment. Get the fucking turf out of here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, that play scared me when I saw him go back and I saw that ankle twist. I'm like, here we go.
But there's the season.
Yeah, here we go. Right, but no, he the core work he did during the summer is paying off. You know what I mean? Because
put your kids in martial arts. Everybody watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And now the defense, the difference in the defense in terms of, I was concerned because if there's anybody that can exploit a weakness in your team, it's going to be Belichick. And we gave up all those yards to the Chargers. And the second rushing play, I think New England ran off like a 7 or 8 yard gain. I'm like, here we go, and somehow, some way. They tightened it up, and it's interesting because Andrew Van Ginkel had a monster game, but he was only in that spot because Jalen Phillips was out.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to check in on it next week and see if Phillips comes back and they put Van Ginkel back in a more traditional, role at linebacker. We'll have to pay attention to that and see how that goes, because I'm not necessarily saying Phillips was a problem, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. And we were getting pushed around pretty hard against the Chargers. So, but I mean, all the way around, the only real complaints, Connor Williams, and can you kick anything over 50 yards? Because we need a guy, man. We need a guy.
I was already mad before he kicked it because I knew he was going to miss it. And
Right.
I knew where the position was on the field. And why are we doing a minus 7-yard punt? Because that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a minus 7-yard punt.
Right.
That had no chance of going in. No.
They showed the stat. He's the worst in the league in the last few years at 50 plus. And it wasn't even hindsight. Everybody in the chat, Kyle and I, were like, why are we doing this? This is either go for it or what. But I mean, because at that point, one first down game was over because the way the timeouts had laid out, I'm pretty sure we might have needed another first down. But
yeah, you send that down to the 5-6 yard line. Yeah. And let Mac Jones go 95 yards. He's Shedeur Sanders. He is not.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to see with the defense is, yes, they did look good, but yes, they were playing the Patriots. So, and that's what they are now. It's not Tom Brady anymore. And it's also not Randy Moss anymore. It's not Wes Welker anymore. It's not Gronk anymore. It's a pretty bad offense. And
they have our leftovers. Their best two, it's Devontae Parker and Gesicki.
Right. And you saw why they are leftovers.
Right. Yeah.
I try to tell people that all the time about Gesicki, because people would say, Gesicki has great hands. Yes, he does. He has great, amazing hands that are like glue. That's it. And if that, when we say that's it, that's it. Like, he's a terrible route runner. So what good are your hands if you're never open, because you can't run a route to save your life? He doesn't block very much, so you can't keep him on the field even. So awesome. He has great hands.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with that if I can't get him open to throw him the ball?
Right.
And you saw that last one of those last plays towards the game, was that fourth down they went for? Was it third down and then they punted? Either way, the last play of that drive, if Gesicki was able to run routes, he would have been there and caught the ball. That wasn't an issue with speed. That was route running. Yeah.
And speaking of route running, that the last touchdown the Patriots got was actually not supposed to count, because apparently, and Shula used to run plays like that. Not that exact play, but Shula used to run plays that he knew were illegal and get away with them about 50% of the time. I mean, Belichick knows that's, you're not supposed to, you can't leave the line of scrimmage like as a tight end, as a blocker, and then catch a pass like that. I was never aware of that either, but I guess it is what it is, and they missed it. And Patriots, who knows what would have happened anyway. But look, the only concerns now is just staying healthy, really. Waddle took that shot. I haven't seen any news on him. I don't know if it was a neck thing, right, or a head thing like that. And Jalen Phillips is out. Teron Armstead, maybe they're just letting him, actually rest up and heal, since the offensive line has been doing, a pretty good job.
You might do it this week too, since the Broncos' best pass rusher is on the Dolphins.
Right? That's a really
everybody
good
wants
point.
to get rid of Greer.
Yeah.
Like I said, draft picks are draft picks, but that man. Name a guy. I'm talking about just trades.
Yeah.
Name a better GM. I can't off the top of my head. He has done several that have made me give him that title. Don't sit at the trade table with him. He's like the Rays. Don't do it. You already lost sitting with him.
Right. No, really, the biggest problem we have is snapping the ball to the quarterback. I mean, because the timing of it, I mean, it's not, it must be mental because the timing of it usually is in really important plays down close to the end zone. You know, the one where Tua fell almost well, again was closer in, and the one last week, that fumble that we lost was in the red zone.
Well, he's a converted center, right? He was left guard at first. He was left guard in Dallas.
Yeah, but
yeah.
There's the hard part is that he's like, he grades out at like number 4 in terms of blocking as a center. So he's a really good center, the exception of the fact that you need to snap the ball. What I don't understand is that it's getting worse. Now, last year, you'd have a bad snap every other game, every third game. But this has been 3-4 bad snaps in each game so far. It's gotten significantly worse, which I don't know how that happens.
I don't know if it's because I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
I don't know if it's because we just said it, but that kind of reminds me of Gesicki. Like, you have amazing hands, but if you can't run a route to get open, what good are your hands?
Right.
And Connor, if your blocking's number 4 in the league at center, that's great. But if the ball's on the ground from the snap, your blocking doesn't matter because you need to turn around and jump on the ball that you just put on the ground.
Right. And last year was just shotgun snaps. Now it's shotgun and under center. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how you fix that if it's gotten worse. You figure he's worked on it over the summer, right? I mean, you got to figure. I assume
it could be mental. I mean, the yips are a real thing. I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah, no, I know. It's but other than that, well, you're looking forward. I was talking with Kyle about it today, and I don't want to get like overconfident, but I can because I'm a fan, and it doesn't matter. The only thing standing in our way between 6-0 is either a massive collapse against the team that we should beat, or the Bills, because we've got the Broncos at home, and then we've got at the Bills, and then we've got the Giants and Panthers at home.
Yeah.
So anything worse than 5-1 out of that stretch, something happened that wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I mean? But if your center's snapping the ball over to the quarterback's head every 10 plays,
that's something going wrong.
That's something could go wrong. You know what I mean? But
unless that's supposed to be a direct snap to Mostert, or we bring it back to Wildcat.
Right? Yeah. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand how something like that gets so, and there's really not a lot of options, because when Connor Williams was, in quotes, holding out the first couple of weeks at camp or whatever it was, because he was hoping for a new contract, you know who they put at center, don't you? Eichenberg. So,
but that whole holdout, pay me more money, that's not really aging well. I mean, usually when you do that, whether you are still looking for the contract or whether you got the contract, you kind of got a ball right after that. And
right.
You're not doing that.
Well, it's like, look, he's the Jake Plummer of centers, because when he's on 90% of the time, great, fantastic, wonderful. It's that other percent of the time that's going to cost you games. And, that's my biggest concern with this team, which I guess is a good concern to have. But then you look back and you look at the plays that it's happened in the last 2 games, and it's cost us points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's cost us points, and we're winning, and despite that. You know what I mean?
That's the good thing about it, is that we're winning despite it, and as long as people can make their adjustments to it and fix stuff. Like, example, I was angry with X last week. I was blaming him for 10 of the Chargers' points.
Right.
See him bully Devontae Parker on that pick. That was great.
I know.
Bullied the hell out of him. I wanted to mention that when we were talking about Gesicki, because we were talking about their former guys. Like, yeah, that was Parker, and yeah, he got bullied.
Yep.
So as long as you're able to fix it, like, okay, Tua has made a couple questionable throws. Fine. It hasn't really affected anything yet. Waddle's had some drops. It hasn't affected anything yet. Connor's had these snaps. I'd say it's affected stuff, but it hasn't affected anything in terms of losses.
Right.
So as long as they're winning, and as long as I'm still thinking about Tua planting his foot in the turf.
That was scary.
As
Yeah.
that doesn't happen, $12 million NFL to fix it for the whole
Right.
league. It's not.
That's it.
Drop
Now the upkeep on that's got to be, I guess that's the reason why, right? Is the
I guess I don't know that part about it. Like, for example, like if you were to convert, like here in New Orleans, the Superdome to grass, I don't know the logistics of that.
right?
I'm
Because
not a landscaping guy. I don't know
if
how
you
that.
have a dome where it's not opened, how are you
Right.
gonna?
I don't know if you got to cut a hole out and make it look like the old Texas Stadium. I really don't know how
That's
that
a lot of grow lights. That's a lot
It
of
is
grow
a lot
lights.
of grow lights, which, this city can't afford that. So maybe it's only New Orleans. Watch out. You're going to tear your ACL in New Orleans. But
Right.
I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the only pure dome in the league. I think everybody else can retract back and
Right.
forth.
Yeah, a lot of the new.
I might be wrong about that. Maybe one. Does Atlanta? I really don't know.
Right.
But it's few.
Yeah.
There are places. New England is an open air stadium that has turf. Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
MetLife is an open air stadium that has turf. Why?
Right. Right. I don't know the answer to that question either. It'd be something new. I mean, I'm not as far north as those cities, but I had no problem growing grass here. You know what I mean? The winter grass comes in, and the yard looks like crap during the winter because the regular grass, the winter grass it's not a full lawn of winter grass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got these dead patches, and then you'll have a 8x8 square foot of the winter grass because the seed blows over from the farms because all the farms hold the soil with the winter grass, and I'll have these 8 foot by 8 foot sections of the yard that are a foot high of winter grass and everything else is dead, and I look like an idiot out there in January. It's 12 degrees and I'm mowing the freaking yard because it just looks so bad. I have to cut it short.
It was like I wasn't thinking about it at all until the play happened, and then you're watching the replay to see what went wrong or whatever, and then I see his leg plant, and I'm like, wait, hold on. I look at the grass real quick, and I'm like, oh, that's fake. Fucking turf. That is how the whole replay went for me. Like, okay, what happened on the play? Okay, Tua planted is like, oh, what's over here? Fucking turf. That's exactly how it happened.
Yeah, I saw his ankle twist, and I was, But
get angry, and it just happened with Rodgers last week. And then, and sure, that helps the Dolphins as far as wins and losses and stuff like that. But you're still not trying to see that.
No, nobody wants to see that.
And now the 0-2 Bengals have Joe Burrow aggravating his calf injury.
Yeah.
And the Bengals aren't just 0-2. They're 0-2 with 2 division losses.
Oh.
Like, they legit might not make the playoffs, which is great for us, especially if Burrow misses some games. Like, they're not making the playoffs if he misses games.
No, look, right now, the top seed in the AFC, I mean, it's early. It's very early, but there's a game, I think, in December that is Miami at Baltimore. And that might be the difference.
They're looking good.
That might be, and of course, Kyle's bugging me to go to that game. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, we should. We should have a group outing to that game.
Yeah, it's
flying fluffy group trip.
Right. Well, it's a short trip for me. but yeah, so that we're
can't do the Miami trip, so
yeah, no, I can't do that. No, the Baltimore game that's possible. We play at Washington too, but I don't want to go to Washington. If we're gonna go to a game, it'll be the Baltimore game. But I don't have a really good track record when I go to games. Like between the Dolphins, Marlins, and Panthers, I'm 0-5 in postseason games going, including a
even Marlins games. You hear that, Rosado?
Yeah. I'm 0-4 and regular season games. It's been so long since I've been. It's not good, but but I'd never been to a road Dolphin game. So maybe there's that.
Maybe it's the home thing. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
you're just cursing Joe Robbie, and it's still called Joe Robbie.
Yeah. Well, in my head, it's JRS. It ain't never going to change. You know what I mean? Nope. So,
I mean, I guess technically my era is pro player, but I still call it Joe Robbie.
yeah, pro player. I mean, come on. It's Joe Robbie Stadium. The man spent his money and then building the stadium, then went bankrupt. I mean, it's just like, it's his stadium. You know what I mean?
Then be the breaks.
Yeah, and be the Well, that's it. That's all I got, man. Look, we're 2-0. Barring anything crazy, we should at the worst be 5-1 by the time
2-0. The schedule looks good. The Jets are off the board. The Bengals might be off the board. Everything's looking really great.
Yesterday, and I gotta watch the replay. I gotta figure out what happened because I wasn't feeling, I'm still not feeling well. But I just caught a stat during the Jets game, and I think this was right before halftime. And the Jets leading rusher at that point, even though they got Hall and they got Dalvin Cook, their leading rusher at that point was Zach Wilson with 35 yards. Like both Hall and Dalvin Cook were like 4 carries for 9 yards or something. If they can't run the ball, I mean, that was their saving grace. It's like, okay, Rodgers is out, Wilson, but they've got these 2 fantastic running backs, and they got shut down.
I did not watch the Jets game, admittedly. However, heard several Jets people say that Zach Wilson was not the problem in that game.
Right.
And that is really bad if the Jets are losing games and, okay, you have Zach Wilson there, but he wasn't the issue.
Right.
You can't have that.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be losing. I mean, or maybe the Cowboys are good. I don't know. I hate to think of that.
Maybe they are, but I'm saying, like, as good as Cowboys are, like, you need to be losing because Zach Wilson threw 3 picks, not because he played fine and everybody else played like dirt. No.
Yeah. But, who knows? I mean, mentally with that team right now, you know what I mean? It's like, when the Panthers lost Kachuk, it was like, we're going out there and playing, but to pretend they weren't,
that Cowboys defense is definitely for real, though. And just to remind the 49ers with that Trey Lance pick, you could have had Micah Parsons on the same D-line as Nick Bosa. And then who cares if you finish with McCaffrey as the quarterback? The other team's not scoring.
Right.
3-0. We win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, hopefully Trey Lance works out.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up a lot to trade him for a bucket of fried chicken. I mean, what they trade?
They gave up all that for a 4th-round pick.
Yeah,
I hope the guy they draft is the GOAT.
I mean, at that point, it's like, should we? I mean, how bad can he be? I mean, that's given up. I mean, that is really giving up on a guy.
It's either giving up or you're just going all in on Purdy, and you're like, this is our guy. We're going to remove any type of distraction from that. Like, it could be that, but man, you gave up a lot for what you ended up getting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Dolphin fans, enjoy it. I'm going to be going when I sit down later and I put this out. I don't know the end result of this, but I'm going to be digging through some statistics because as Dolphin fans, you're used to starting well. And I am going to go back and see how long it's been since we started 2-0 and won a playoff game. I want to see how far back we have to go to when we started 2-0 and won a playoff game.
Look up 3-0 while you're at it to have that one ready.
Jeez. 3, yeah. Yeah, I may as well since I'm looking it up. Yep. All right, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'm gonna go die now. I've got this. I'm sick. but I keep taking my Monster just so I can gut out videos, and then afterwards the crash is just ugly. I need to rest. So appreciate all the support. Trey and I will see you again next week.